Welcome to click like and subscribe. Today I wanted to go over a quick shot for you today, and it's going to be about critical race theory. Congratulations, you lucked out, but of course you already knew that from the title. The reason we want to talk about it is what's good about it. What's good about it is understanding that most of the times what these schools are banning is that you're going to teach kids to hate, you're going to teach them that race matters or whatever else. But those same people treat it basically like Obamacare, right? Remember all the years they voted against it. And then when Trump got in and said, hey, well, we'll do your plan, let's pass it, there was no plan. So in place of critical race theory, we will continue to teach our traditional white supremacy. I mean, you might as well announce that white supremacy is the curriculum of the land, and we're not going to change it with some BS that balances out both sides of the story. We're not willing to spread credit out for American history. We're not willing to condemn those who attacked the country to preserve slavery. We're not doing any of that, because each one of these discussions about what's wrong with removing the statues or renaming the bases or whatever else puts you in the position of defending those things. Defending people who attacked America, defending the obscured view that children are already taught. That means I don't want my children taught critical race theory, but I do want your black children taught white superiority. Those are the two choices. That's the existing curriculum, that's the status quo. And if being against racial or racist superiority is, of course, un-American, American means white superiority. And so you can't have it both ways, that you're just against something, you're for something. And that's the place that being against critical race theory puts you in. There's no two ways to slice it. It should bring up, okay, well, I don't want my kids to do this and hear this or feel this way about race or whatever else. I don't want them to feel bad about things that happened in the past that have nothing to do with them. You're responding with the answer to the problem that is the issue of the problem for your answer, if that makes any sense. And if it doesn't, that's exactly my fucking point. Because that should have rang a bell, that is exactly the complaint of minority parents. We don't want our children to feel this way going to General Lee High School and learning about slavery from white people who are taught that it was a benign institution and it worked out anyway because the people were better off than they were in Africa, and not all slaveholders were bad. The end. All my fucking kids taught that bullshit. But that one works. So critical race theory is not even a boogeyman theory. It is simply saying, okay, rather than trying to treat each race thing as an isolated event, oh, this person's house wasn't valued properly because they're black, and this person had to show 10 more documents and got a house loan for half of the other person. That they test this out every year, all year. Black people can't access health care as easily. Oh, they can't live in the same neighborhoods because of the tradition of redlining. Oh, black people, rather than enumerating it one by one by one by one by one, once you go, can't go to the doctor, can't buy a house, don't have the same job opportunities, access to credit, police brutality. It's a system. It's a system. It's culturally ingrained to infect every system that we have in this society. And if it was not just a cultural norm, those cultural norms were formed by the laws of this country, where it's illegal to vote, or you're 3/5 human, or you cannot participate in the military, or you can't buy homes in certain neighborhoods, or you can't be on a jury, or you can't testify on each other's behalf. These were all enshrined in laws. That makes it systemic. And so you do culture into the law, and it reinforces the culture because there must be something to it because it's the law. And it just fed on itself. One law after the other, one law begot the other, culturally reinforced into a new law, reinforced into another cultural norm, till we are where we are, where people are debating and saying things like all lives matter, because they're so distant from the idea of humanity for Black people, because they're so far removed from the first Black people that were here, from the Black people that Europeans had to come in contact with, from the Black people who ruled Southern Europe for 800 years. They are so far removed from those people that they don't understand that the world existed 500 years ago or before. That Black people's natural state was not waiting on white people for 10,000 years to show up and save them from themselves. And so critical race theory says, pull the thread. If you see an act of dehumanization or a racist act, don't go, well, what an asshole that guy is for being racist. Pull the thread. What in society gave him the inclination that that was all right? What made Chauvin feel it was all right to be filmed in broad daylight and murder a man? And feel justified, and feel like there should be no consequences. That didn't happen that moment. That happened from a country that learned to buy and sell and beat and rape and sell the children of and breed a group of people that could do Tulsa 100 years ago, that could do Rosewood, that could castrate and lynch and burn on a whim a whole town or a group of people. That was a continued legacy of being in America. You don't want your child to understand that? Our problem in this country is blindly blissful bigots. Why do you need to pass that on? That's already the issue. Is that 99 out of 100 white people have no idea how this country works, or the dynamics of race, or what Black people go through. And you want to protect your children from reality for another generation? You can't. They're not growing up and going to school in a generation of a white majority in school right now. They're going to have to go to college and spew your dumb shit that you were saying in front of the TV about Obama and Trump. They got to try to marry and date and spew your dumb shit, not understanding the world any better than you do. And you don't understand shit because you think critical race theory is racist. We already go through critical race theory if you're Black. You already have to look at things through that prism. But the critical race theory that you're taught is everybody of significance is white, and Blacks are suspicious and questionable and unqualified. And you want your children to try to do the next 50 years in a world of minority groups who aren't going to put up with that bullshit. You're disarming your own children We already know how white people think. We're taught the same things you're taught, or you're taught. If you want to prepare your children, they better get a foreign language that's useful and sensitivity training that they won't be sitting there like Chauvin wondering why they're getting fired and why everybody's turned against them. Totally oblivious that they're acting on autopilot from a culture that teaches that. You want your children to have all the advantages? Hell, teach them critical race theory at home to pull the thread. These things are part of a system that we're trying to break down to move America forward. Pull the thread. That's all the critical means. It's not an actual theory. It's not anything. It's just saying, be aware. And this country is so mean and racist that the school districts are like, I don't want that taught. I don't want my children to learn empathy and perspective from the way other people have to feel in this country. I want them to be blissfully ignorant and white. But it will not serve them. They're not going to grow up in 1970. They're not going to grow up in 1950. They're going to grow up in 2050. In a world where they will be interviewing for jobs. And their world perspective and their upbringing by you, who protected them from reality, will block their progress. Because that's what progress is. Progress for Black people is not, hey, we're moving along, the struggle is getting better. It is waiting on white people to grow up. That is the struggle of minorities, waiting on white people to grow up, waiting on white people to go, oh, I get it. Go ahead. But we're coming to the end of where people are going to be able to dole out other people's human rights. These are God-given rights. And we got to seal clap every time white people, every generation, acknowledge some of that and bestow upon us rights we were already given at birth by God. Well, hey, you couldn't eat over there before, now you're allowed to eat over there. Well, we spent all of humanity eating where the fuck we want. Mighty kind of you to dole out my God-given rights to me at your discretion. So Black progress is trying to expand the intelligence and the morality of white people. And with the dynamics and the shifts in the demographics, that's coming to an end. As you can see from summer of 2020, people are just going to reassert their rights. There's going to be less of, well, they will think and they'll say, fuck all of that. We're going to do blissfully ignorant. Black people aren't going to worry about critical race theory because it will be the curriculum. There won't be a Black History Month. It will be the curriculum. It's going to get fixed. And you can try to hold on to the vestiges of Civil War greatness and blissful ignorance, but you're setting your descendants up for failure because they are not going to grow up in the past, they're going to grow up in the future. This is click, like, and subscribe, so do so.